we are announcing today additional measures to ensure we keep Queensland safe. First of all, for people who have been in Victoria or live in Victoria within 14 days, they will no longer be able to travel to Queensland. In addition, for those returning to our state, travelling to our state from other parts of Australia, we will be introducing mandatory testing for anyone who develops symptoms within 14 days of arriving in Queensland. If you fail to do so, the fine of up to $4,004 will apply. We will SMS them during their stay to check if they've developed symptoms and remind them of their obligation and of the penalty if they do not get tested. We've also asked our HHSs to set up pop-up clinics in those tourist destinations.
So there are three things I ask of every single Queenslander today. The first one is, if you have any symptoms or you think you might have symptoms, please immediately get tested and isolate yourself. That's really important. The second one is maintain social distancing. And the third, at this point in time, please do not go to Victoria. That is really important.
Queensland Police Service and our partner agencies are well prepared to enforce the new restrictions. If you are intending to come into Queensland, one, make sure that you have your border declaration pass filled out correctly. Make sure that you are entitled to come into Queensland, because we will not hesitate to refuse entry or turn people around that are not entitled to come to our state. So the message to people coming out of Victoria is really very clear. Unless you have an exemption, unless you're a returning resident, do not come to Queensland. And if you are a returning resident, you will be placed into mandatory self-paid quarantine.
So there's a very, very limited number of circumstances. So for instance, if someone's relative is dying, if their father or mother is dying, then they can come up to Queensland, they go into mandatory hotel quarantine, and if the hospital or the palliative care service is able to supervise the interaction and provide PPE, then that person can visit their dying relative. There are no exemptions to come to Queensland for a funeral, because we know funerals are very high risk. The other exemptions are very limited. So we do have exemptions to maintain essential services in Queensland, so freight is exempt, of course, so the truck drivers are exempt and able to continue to bring freight into Queensland. If we have people who are providing support, for instance, to the COVID response in Victoria, they're able to go down from Queensland, provide that support down there and come back, but then they need to quarantine when they come back. So that applies to those nurses who willingly went down to assist.